house. There's some hoes in this 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 house.
Certified free, 7 days a week. That wet ass pussy cut my pull-out game weak. Ooh, yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass, swimming in it, baby. I'ma bring a bucket and a mop, darling.
I say it every time. I say it every single time we do this, but they absolutely know nothing about this, pals. They don't know nothing about swimming in it. They have no idea how to swim. They need life jackets when thrown into the shallow end of the pool. They can't handle the freaking baby pool. How are they going to handle the deep waves? They can't do it. Only here on WLR, the sexiest, without a doubt, hands down, the sexiest podcast in the history of pro wrestling podcasting, the GOAT of pro wrestling podcasting as far as sexy goes. 100%. That word's being thrown around all over the place. All of a sudden, you know, the goat. Colin, what happened to your face? I'm just realizing this. What's this about? I wasn't ready for this.
We had a masquerade ball, and you got to have a nice trimmed face if you're going to do the breaststroke effectively, Billy Ray Valentine. You should know this.
I fall back. I stand corrected.
When you're swimming in it, less hair makes you more aerodynamic to swim in it. Didn't Michael Phelps teach you anything?
I was going to say it's Michael Phelps in this shit. Yeah.
Listen to that, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing but facts out the mouth of Colin Wysong. We got an all-star panel here today in order to cover this John Cena shit. Okay, this disaster that went down on Saturday night. Okay, match was good. It was a good match, but I'll talk about the disaster. I might let everybody else go because I don't know about Bello's take, but I think everybody else is against me here. But I got this. For all of you out there, all of the dissenting opinions, all of the rebels out there, all of the Babylonian Mystery School freaking alumni, 100% tapped into the Akashic Records. I got you. I got you today. Okay. As for everybody else, we have the panel. My guy, the Andrew Bello, the God of Thunder. What's going on, sir? How are you? Say what's up to the people.
Yeah, a lot going on apparently, but we'll obviously talk about it. What's up to the people? Your God of Thunder has returned, and happy to have Billy Ray back in a full house for that matter this week. This is going to be an interesting show, an interesting week in wrestling, and for that matter, an interesting night as we're recording on Tuesday night right after NXT aired here on the East Coast, at least in the normal parts of the country. So it's and the Land of the Sun Devil runs a little behind, and then they also don't do daylight savings, so it's just it's literally the Wild West out there. Nevertheless, so we got all that. We got the boys here. Let's get going.
Fantastic. All facts. Colin Wysong in the house. What's going on, sir?
I mean, what's good? I pretty much used up all my lines there when you threw to me for the face thing. So, I don't really have anything right now besides that I knew that Gunther was going to win. So I put all the money that I had down, what former billions I had left. And guess what? We're getting close to being a billionaire again.
Oof.
Making billionaires, folks.
100%. And Professor, I'm trying to find your theme. I think they took it off of YouTube. I don't think it exists, and I didn't download this. I don't know where to find it, unfortunately.
I mean, can't you just play any P. Diddy song?
Ooh.
That can work.
Some respect. Okay.
That's okay.
Incredible.
I got the baby oil just in case, do the remix.
What the hell? Anyway, my guys here, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Bombay, New Jersey, put your fingers in the air. The Professor Chabelo Velacruz, the magnanimous, the effervescent, the glorious Professor Chabelo Velacruz. Welcome to WLR, sir. It's been a while since you've been here. It's been a while since you and I have been on a show together. We have to do the year-end PW hustle as per normal. The Professor's Perspective Awards are coming up and all the plaques have been mailed out to the winners. And 100% congratulations to all of you. I heard Dom cleaned up this year. That's what I heard. I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge of any of this stuff. The Professor Chabella Cruz, the king of the hoopla, say what's up to the people.
What's going on to the Wednesday locker room? Thank you to let this sexy professor in. And Colin, I got my goatee. I got it shaped up right now. So, you can bask in my glory of my goatee and all that stuff. So, I've been going through the 10 steps, guys, after Cena's Saturday night's main event. The sadness, the crying, and then thank you to the IWC for being deranged and doing all the predictions and matchmaking and booking and how it was the worst thing and F Triple H and AEW chants. I will bring some semblance of order back. I will bring the semblance of order. It's okay, Billy Ray. I know you was mad. I know you was mad about the booking. I'm bringing some semblance of order. That's all it is.
Not only was I mad, I am mad. I'm going to give you time to say whatever it is you need to say, but right now we need to introduce the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, I did not foresee Professor turning heel on the YWC. No shout out there. What was going on? It was just the IWC this time around.
Just the IWC.
All right, fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our main event of the evening, and he comes to us from the land of the Sun Devil out in Weirdville in the Wild Wild West by way of the Denver airport. He stands at 6 feet, 6.6 inches tall, weighing in at an unbelievably svelte 666 pounds. All biceps, my God.
Damn.
He is the master of the massive memories, the connoisseur of the colossal kajungas, and the hunker of huge shooters. Yeah, it's still Triple H. He's sexy. No, not Triple H. He's stranglery. Strangler. Steve
Boom. Thanks, Bells. That was a good one. Hey, welcome to the extended cast of the 1111 Boys, the Wednesday locker room. Welcome, Professor, for your first time here. It's great to have you on.
Thanks,
your voice is synonymous with pro wrestling podcasting. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not, but when I hear your voice, it takes me back, man, almost a decade now of when I was first hearing you and Billy Ray and Colin and Bello. So it's great to have you on the show for the first time, hopefully not the last. And also welcome back to Colin, who's, of course, an honorary 1111 boy who, by the way, I'm glad you're becoming close to being a billionaire again because you're going to need that money with that ugly motherfucking face of yours. God damn, you look like as ugly as the bottom of a fucking foot that's been breaking bricks all day out in the fucking county jail in the middle of the fucking Mojave Desert. Look at that ugly fucking face.
Jesus.
I can't remember the last time I've seen such an ugly motherfucker in my life.
Good Lord.
Oh, much better.
That's better. That's better.
Now you look like me. He's a furry. He's also a part-time furry. Welcome back to the show, bud. Good to have you. I know I have my Marcos gear still right here, ready to go at any time. So I can represent
all right.
My Marcos stuff right there. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's getting close to be our happy holiday edition of the Wednesday Locker Room. I guess that'll be next week.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are still kind of coming off of your Cena highs or lows, or however you take it or whatever, but that'd be interesting to see everybody's take on this. Of course, I have a very different take because I was there from Cena's beginning until the end. So, in fact, I was the one guy that got him booked on his one independent New England Championship Wrestling date back before he started with OVW when he wrestled my buddy Frankie Kazarian. Frankie and I flew out from SoCal to be on that show together for a birthday bash show for my buddy Sheldon Goldberg. So John, who was Prototype at the time, was getting ready to go to OVW. And this was going to be the only time he'd be able to be allowed to do anything outside of the auspices of the WWE and was going to be home for a certain period of time, and was able to do one show in front of a bunch of family members. So I made a phone call to Sheldon Goldberg and got him booked on the show. It ended up being one of the best drawing NECW shows because John Cena brought so much friends and family to the show. It was more than double the usual show for NECW because so many people wanted to come out and see John before he moved down to the OVW area.
Wow. That's
and,
out of
after that, and after that show, actually, John had us back to his house. I met his dad for the very first time, who I still know to this day. I've seen him a million times. Very, very good guy, John Cena Sr., and very, very awesome dude. He's invited me and my wife over to his house for Thanksgiving several times. Of course, we've declined because you don't want to be like the third or fourth or ninth wheel at somebody's house for Thanksgiving. But yeah, when we were over there getting to know John a little bit, they were playing video games, he and Frankie, and doing their best Jim Ross impressions to the games that they were playing, which was awesome. And it was great to meet his brothers and his dad and everything like that. It was a really good time. So so I kind of have a little bit of a personal perspective on this, and regardless of how the last match went, and regardless of how everybody feels, you can't take away that it was a hell of a career that lasted nearly a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
And he's one of the very few guys that you can count on one single hand that was able to go out when he wanted to go out, and may not have gone exactly the way he thought it would, but still got to pretty much do what he wanted to, for the most part on his way out. Not a lot of people, as you're having your last match, me included, you never really know when your last match is going to be. It could be literally any time you're standing in the ring, and it's just so weird because I never really had a retirement or said goodbye to the in-ring part of my career. I don't even remember what my last match was. I remember a few matches I had in like a year period because I wasn't actively looking for bookings, but I remember but I don't remember exactly what my last match was or when it was, which is kind of strange. But kudos to John Cena on a hell of a career. No matter how it ended, you can't take away the fact that he did a lot more for the business than most, and like he said, he left it better than he found it.
Absolutely. We can't really argue with that point. Now, that being said, of course, if you guys want to give your perspective on John Cena's career, feel free to do so. I never heard that story before, Striz. That's pretty dope. What I want to concentrate on is the fucking Gunther match, right? And of course, the IWC YWC reaction to it, and all of that. Let's go around the horn. I'm gonna kick it off with Bells. Did you see the match, Bells? I was texting back and forth with Striz and Colin at a point, and I hit up the PW Hustle chat as well. But I don't remember hearing back from you, Bells. So I don't know if you saw it or not, or did you see it live, or did you see it after the fact? But anyway, what are your thoughts on the way it went down? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I did see it live. I was just I was locked in. So was the dog, weirdly enough. My dog normally doesn't even acknowledge the TV, but He was watching the whole beginning of the match. It was staggering, but nevertheless, I watched the match. I enjoyed the match up until the finish. Obviously, I wasn't a huge fan of it, although I do think it ultimately has its merits. I guess I'll touch on that in a second. But as far as the finish goes, I predicted last week, he would have Cena, in a submission, and Cena would eventually just pass out. Therefore, Gunther wins, but he doesn't get to accomplish the ultimate goal of making Cena give up. But ultimately what they did, I think they did is a panic move, right? They realize they've botched this entire thing, and they get down to the nitty gritty of it, and they go, all right, how can we at least get the most out of what's left of this, given that we've fucked up 11 months of this and we've got one to go? They ultimately settle on Gunther, who's already retired Goldberg. I think that's a trend. More on that later. But we get him not only beating Cena, but Cena on his way out the door. The biggest chip he could have given somebody was that they made him give up, basically, after a career of never giving up, printing it on 1,000 t-shirts. Not only beating Cena on the way out the door, but being the one to make John Cena give up, to the point to where that was basically all of Gunther's promo on Raw, and it got just his presence in that sentence gave just an insane nuclear amount of heat that I hope continues and sustains for a little while. But yeah, I thought the finish was kind of fucked up. But I think that they, like, again, just tried to milk this for all they could, and that was what they came up with ultimately. And as far as Cena, it blows, but I think it could ultimately pay off for Gunther.
All right. That was pretty quick and concise. I'm sure we'll get more thoughts on Bello as people start giving their perspective. I'm coming back to you after I blow up, after I freaking lose it. You will be the first to be able to discuss whatever the hell I've said. Colin Wysong, what is going on? Tell the people what you're thinking about this.
Well, my first takeaway is that Striz is going to have John Cena booked at the next 2CW reunion show that happens whenever that happens, with as tight as he is with his buddy John. But I digress.
Kayfabe.
much like the fake news media that we see in real life, the IWC news media and the WWE fake news media has told you that John Cena has never tapped out. He's never tapped. But a simple Google search would clearly show that this man has tapped out numerous times throughout his career. He is a fraud. He's a fraud that has never had hustle, loyalty, and respect, only to himself. He tapped out last night to that man Gunther. All this time, we thought John Cena was who he was, but no, he was just a fraud that tapped and gave up on his last night in the business.
Okay, this is true. Now, what are your real feelings about all of this?
Those can't be my real feelings about this?
They can be. I'm just assuming there's something else. So, I mean, tell me if there is, and if there isn't, I'll move on.
No, I mean, it's just ridiculous that the fans are like, oh, he should have won. He should have done this and that. No, he should have lost. That's what John Cena was doing. John Cena has been the consummate professional his whole career. Why would he go out there and just make it about himself at the end when clearly they're setting up for Gunther to do bigger things and to kind of be that next legend killer, as he's going to retire AJ next. He'll probably retire Randy. He'll retire Chris Jericho whenever Chris Jericho comes back. We're only making Gunther the biggest star in the world for when he ultimately faces Obafemi in WrestleMania.
All right. Very, very good. The Professor Chabela Villacruz, the creator of the John Cena bandwagon. He was the founder, the cornerstone of this whole thing. He was a fan before most of you were born. The professor was a fan of John Cena. He took some time today from edifying the young women of the United States of America, their minds and their bodies. He took some time today to come here and discuss John Cena and what happened on Saturday night's main event. I haven't heard the professor's perspective. Well, he did write me, but I haven't gotten the full scope of it, and I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to be. And anybody that follows the professor knows what he's going to say. Anyway, but still, we must get the perspective of the most impartial man in the IWC, YWC, 100%. The perspective is always on. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Tell the people what's up.
Doing good, and I was edifying Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, so you know.
Ooh, you don't want to get
my just pardon me on that, but I was doing some work right there. But anyway, neither here nor there. But I just want to say, you know, I was wearing my John Cena shirt. It got there on the same day, the Grand Slam shirt right here. So I was wearing that on Saturday night's main event. So, you know, I was repping for John Cena. You know, I was thinking even during the match, the history between me and Billy Ray, because he gave up watching, you know, wrestling because John Cena made HBK tap out at WrestleMania. So I was laughing and thinking about that right now during the match. But of course, career retrospective, you know, John Cena, just like the Striz said, a great 25 years, man. The man was on top for 20 of that 25 years. Well, you can argue it was 25 straight years. He was the man. He was the face of WWE. And as far as people can complain like BRV about the retirement and how the 12 months should have went, I'll say this. In real life and in real sports, when people announce their retirements, how many can you count was a perfect retirement? I'm talking about real sports first. I can think of John Elway retiring the perfect way. He won a Super Bowl and retired. I can think of Derek Jeter, my favorite Yankee of all time. He didn't win a World Series. No. But he went out on his own terms. Kobe Bryant went out on his own terms. Michael Jordan didn't win a goddamn NBA chip in 2003 as the Washington Wizards. No, but he went out. And the thing we have to remember, even for the retirement, it is a celebration first. I think that's the problem that the IWC, YWC did. They wanted to book a perfect retirement. Instead, we should celebrate the career of John Cena. And as far as the match goes, Colin's right. He lost, he tapped, and I even love the smile. I love his smile. It's like he gave all he could. And at the point of no return, he just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm releasing. I'm relaxing. It was a smile of relief. And he got a standing ovation from Washington, D.C. Cody Rhodes, opportunistic as he was, cried on camera. CM Punk, opportunistic, gave his belt. So this way John Cena can have both belts. That was it. We heard Triple H came down. The fans were mad. You heard the AEW chant. You heard F Triple H. But just like Triple H said months ago, you enjoying the show? It's all part of the show. It's all part of the show.
Disgusting. We got to get Strizz's comments on Cody Rhodes. Thank you for bringing that up. Because, that shit is cringe, bro. Like, leave. Like, that shit was cringe, man. I was like, what are you doing, brother? Like, I mean, how bad do you want to get noticed right now?
Fucking grown-ass man.
Like, go to the back, get off the camera, and then do whatever it is you're going to do.
Unless that's your mother or your father laying in a box at a church, right. No fucking tears are necessary, okay?
Come on.
Fucking wrestling career, for fuck's sake.
Jesus Christ.
He just shows that he's just the most insincere person that has ever had that spot ever. He has absolutely no idea who he is or who he needs to be. And he proves it every time the fucking camera is on him. It's just the worst. Like when he pretended to be drunk when they won the tag belts and had that stupid meeting with and Jay was doing the yeet shit. Like he was like, oh, I better start pretending I'm a little tipsy too. It was like, dude, you're fucking lame as fuck. It's just so fucking stupid.
Can't argue with you, Striz.
And as far as the retirement with Cena stuff goes, like, what do people want? If you had 15 matches, do you want them to win 15 times and then leave and never come back? Because then people would have said, well, they did literally nothing for the business. He went over on all these people. He destroyed Dominic, took the Intercontinental belt, retired with that, took the belt from Cody, retired with that. You know what I mean? Like, this is just not the way things happen. But, I mean, I'll cut that part short because I'm sure we'll expand upon it much later after you have your take and everything. But just as far as Cody goes, like, what an insincere prick.
That was kind of, man. What's up? Go ahead,
I just want to interject real quick. You can watch it while Cody Rhodes is an insincere prick. You can watch his smoke show of a wife cook on YouTube now, apparently. So that's a thing. But the show is called The Shot of Brandy. So check it out.
Wow.
For science.
I'd like a shot of brandy. No, I don't think. Yo, listen. Here's the deal with all of this, and I want to talk directly to all of the IWC, YWC, whomever's going to be watching this, or listening to this at whatever point. Everybody, right, starts talking. First off, they fucked this up so royally from the beginning, bro. And the thing is, this Triple H got everything he deserved that night. And if The Rock was out there, he should have got everything he deserved that night. Okay, for the boos that they got and the AEW chants and all this nonsense, bro. They screwed this up so badly. First off, nobody wanted to see Gunther versus John Cena. Nobody. And by nobody, I mean a couple of you, that might have wanted to see that. Nobody cared. There was no emotional attachment to that. He won a freaking tournament. They could have gotten anybody else to win the stupid tour. First off, don't even have a tournament. Build a storyline, right? And get something relevant. Somebody that can be put over. And they're like, oh, they're making Gunther into the next star. Gunther's not going to be the face of this company ever. Ever. It's not happening. Be like, oh, Gunther's going to be propelled to be the biggest heel. He's already that. So what do we get out of this? Right? So when I said that John Cena should have won this match, there's a few reasons why. And I'm going to lay them out. Right? Well, I've already laid out some. Let's remember, that Gunther went on the longest intercontinental title reign ever, where he rolled over everyone. So what else are you supposed to give him, right? And then he becomes the world champion, only to lose to Jey Uso, who made him tap out. Right? Let's remember that how they fucked this character. All right. And I'm not saying that he should have won everything, but he lost to Jey Uso by via tap out. Okay. And then he lost to Sami Zayn. And it's another fuck up that they did when they were only going to give the title to Braun Breaker anyway. So if we're going to build Braun Breaker, why don't you just have him beat Gunther? No, you had Sami Zayn do it, and then Sami Zayn lost it to Braun Breaker. This all leads into this. So we had 1 year. John Cena said, I have a year left. And The Rock decides he wants to stick his nose into the business and say, I want to be involved in this, completely fucking everything up. Travis Scott gets involved. It becomes a whole disaster. They turn the guy heel. And of course, it made some news or whatever because it's John Cena. But where did it lead to? Absolutely nothing. It led nowhere, to the point that they just pivoted. They didn't even give you an explanation. They just pivoted. And he was a face again and lost the title back to Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes needed to be made, right? Okay, so he loses the title back to Cody Rhodes. And we still don't know what's going on at the end of this. No idea, no direction, no nothing, right? Dom loses the IC belt to Cena. And then I figured they were going to give Dom the final match and he wins the belt back, right? I would have much rather have Dom in that position than Gunther, even though that wasn't. I think that's you. There's something going on. That's you, Bells? That's Bells. What is that, Bells? You have a freaking train running through your living room? The hell was that about? Unmute. There it is again.
It's my air conditioner apparently, which is weird because it normally doesn't pick up.
20 degrees.
Check your mic, Bellows. You might be coming through your speaker. Check the StreamYard.
No, when you muted it, it's gone. So
Check.
there you go.
Earthquake.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So Gunther
Thank you.
is giving this match, and everybody, it burns my mind when I look at this, and everybody in the IWC, YWC is trying to justify this shit. They're like, oh yeah, well, Gunther's gonna be the biggest star now. Oh my God, the heat that he's gonna get. This is building for the fucking future. What future? What future did you just build that you didn't already have? Would it have mattered if Gunther lost that match? How would it have changed the trajectory of Gunther's career? I don't really think it would have if they booked it properly. I don't think they made anyone. And the whole point of this, with Cena's retiring, the biggest star of this generation, make somebody. But they didn't do that. They completely blew it. You have Obafemi open up Saturday night's main event with Cody Rhodes. Those people lost their minds for Obafemi. And I dare say they wanted to see Obafemi beat Cody Rhodes. Right? They started booing at the end of that match because what's his name interfered.
Yep.
In retrospect, why wasn't Obafemi in that position? If it was Obafemi versus John Cena, and I understand, right, that there's time, he still needs time in the business and all of this. Well, the time is now, right, to take advantage of it. They put the Ultimate Warrior over. Ultimate Warrior couldn't wrestle at all, right? But the character worked. Obafemi is over. He's going to be a huge star. If he would have beat John Cena, and not by submission, but if he would have beat him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, a lot of people would have been more happy about this. The problem was this: the lack of storyline leading into this. No purpose whatsoever in the payoff. And that Gunther was the guy that was there. And then Gunther made him tap out. The guy that's never supposed to give up, gives up on his last match. And I know that's been circulated throughout the IWC, YWC, but it happens to be right. So what did they accomplish? I was telling Striz, we were texting back and forth. Striz is like, it's a time-honored tradition. And I understand that, right? I understand that. You leave the business when, you lose, right? The thing is, the business today is very, very different from even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Kayfabe is dead. That's why we are in this problem right now.
That has nothing to do with kayfabe.
Let me make the argument, Striz, and then you can take me apart if you want.
I'm going to shred you.
The fact that Triple H got booed relentlessly has everything to do with kayfabe, and his stupid ass should have known better than to make this decision, right? Because everyone knows now what's going down. There is no secrecy. Everyone knows that who's making the decisions in the back. Everyone knows why the decisions are being made. Everything. So the time-honored tradition thing, if you're not going to honor the kayfabe, if you're going to make a freaking show on Netflix, just giving up all the secrets, don't come back and say, well, there's a time-honored tradition that we have to keep, because you're not interested in keeping time-honored traditions. Right. You're not interested in kayfabe anymore or anything like that. And if they're going to honor one, why don't they honor the other? And they didn't. And that's why this happened. Right. So he gives the excuse of the time-honored tradition, but there was no real payoff for the guy that took advantage of that time-honored tradition. But on top of that, the prices in the WWE are astronomical right now to get in that building. You know how much money people had to pay? And they were expecting a Cena loss in some capacity, probably, right? But a tap out? Yo, all I'm saying is this. We got shit storyline for a year of twists and turns that were not explained at all, right? We got a shit tournament to lead up to who was going to wrestle Cena last. No emotional investment, no personal investment, no storyline investment, nothing. It's just Gunther's going to wrestle John Cena. We didn't get the right guy in that position. And then at the end, everyone in that arena wanted John Cena to win. My son is sitting next to me, which is the only reason I saw the match, which was dope, by the way. To sit down and watch the match with my son was fantastic. He's a big John Cena fan, and he was very sad to see John Cena go. He was legit sad, like legit, which was crazy. You know, it felt like me looking at Hulk Hogan back in the day, you know. So it was like, all right, cool. The match was fantastic, right? The least the WWE could have done, since they didn't give us anybody for the future, they gave us a shit storyline. They don't give a fuck about kayfabe. The least they could have done for the thousands and thousands of dollars people paid to get in that building, for the people that are paying for Peacock, and the people that have invested in the ESPN bullshit, the least they could have done was had John Cena win that match. It wouldn't have hurt Gunther at all. At all. And Triple H would have saved himself a boo fest. And you know what's going to last? People are talking about the lasting effect that this is going to have for Gunther. People are going to forget about this shit 6 months from now. You know what's going to last? The boos for Triple H. That's not going away. Triple H may have lost these people altogether. It was already happening before this. But now there's a problem. So I thought the whole thing was shit. I think they should have known better and get with the time. If you're unveiling, or dropping the curtain on the kayfabe, realize the consequences that are going to come from that. Realize that maybe you should listen to what's going on. And these people wanted a win. And given all the requirements you are making of the WWE universe in order to watch your shitty fucking product, the least you could do is pay it off with a win. Everybody would have went happy. It'd have been over. Unless you got somebody that mattered. You were going to make a star? Put Obafemi in there, people would have acted differently. People would have been happy with, and as long as he didn't tap out. That tap out shit. And then to criticize John Cena, he smiled at the end of this. Is that a time-honored tradition? Let's give it up. When I'm getting choked out, I'm going to smile? So the whole business is just out the fucking window. And that's why this is happening. Okay, who wants first? Who wants to shred me first? Okay, go ahead, Striz. You can shred me up first. But that's
no.
My
you make lots and lots of amazing, fantastic, and correct points. And you're right. WWE was the very first brand in wrestling to openly break kayfabe, and they did it in 1987 when they didn't want to pay the New Jersey State Athletic Commission anymore, and they came out in the paper and said, "Yeah, we're as harmful as the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus."
Wow,
that's what they wrote. I remember when my grandfather cut it out of the paper and gave it to me, and I was in 7th grade, and you knew it was a work, but that was them saying, "Yeah, you're right, it is," and the wink and the nod was gone. The mystique was gone. You knew it was a work, but you didn't know exactly how. So, this is nothing new. This is 30-something years into them breaking kayfabe. And they have, and not just recently, but time and time again have had TV shows that show you how the sausage is made, and this is how we take bumps, and this is the lingo, and this is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they've done it time and time and time and time again, and I think it's been at their own detriment. So I'm not sure exactly why they've done that kind of shit. It's just I think because somewhere deep down inside Vince at one point, he didn't want to be known as the hokey pro wrestling guy and wanted to be the sports entertainment guy and wanted to show people, yes, we know it's fake, but there's a lot more to this than just the fake winning and fake losing of matches. There's a lot more that goes into this, and we're more than just wrestling. We're sports entertainment. We do this, we do that. We make movies. So he didn't want to be known as the WCW, the pro wrestling company, or whatever.
Right.
So there was a reason behind the madness of exposing it, because at several different points, there are old promoters and people in the business who wanted Vince killed for doing shit like that. And there were probably a time, if he had done it a decade before, would have ended up in a dumpster somewhere. But, different times and different situations. So time and time again, like I said, WWE has constantly shown people, yeah, no, we're phony. And it has, to their detriment, slowly but surely has lost a segment of casual fans over the last several decades that they have not been able to get back.
Yeah.
And Cena, I guess in Triple H's mind, represented the last of the sports entertainment workers that came out of the Vince McMahon brand of WWE. And Michael Cole made a point to say tonight, sports entertainment was destroyed by pro wrestling. So
yeah, man,
there's a lot more to this than just the match. There's a lot more to it than just the retirement, where they have to use this as a launching pad for something completely different or a completely brand new chapter in what we know as WWE. Going back to a more wrestling-based thing or whatever the case may be. We have to be patient and see how this particular thing unwinds, unfurls in front of us. And we have to give it a few months and say, okay, this is why all these things are happening. As far as John Cena smiling at the end, I think that wasn't just a wink and a nod to the fans to say, okay, well, this is it. I'm enjoying the last second in the ring. I'm going to give it away. I think it was also that thing of like when you hear people drowning in the water and you have a sense of calm and you have that almost acceptance and you kind of give away that moment and go, I am giving up. And you have that dopamine release in your head is almost, if you wanted to, really decipher the ending of that. But I that's probably the only thing I would have had done differently is I wouldn't have had him tap out. I would have had him either pass out if you insisted on it being in a sleeper, where he said, well, he never gave up, or I would have had him got pinned. Because anybody can get pinned on any day. It's just a matter of leverage and who's doing it and blah, blah, blah. You can tell a good story. That way, he can lose and not give up. You understand? But the whole time when they made his whole thing over, never give up, hustle, loyalty, and respect, he gave up at the end, and that was the last thing you're going to remember him for is tapping out, which is bad, And it didn't make Gunther any stronger to have him tap out. Or, they could have had him pass out or have Gunther do something to pin him. So did that exact thing help Gunther? Not necessarily, but he can use it as a feather in his cap because people are always saying you tapped out to him because of his loss at WrestleMania to Jey Uso. But, neither here nor there, I guess. It's just splitting hairs at this point. But you do – I understand because you've seen him for so long, you did want him to win his last match. He lost – his last two matches because he lost the Intercontinental belt back to Dominic and at the Survivor Series. I was there to see it. And so it's like, yeah, Couldn't have gone better, abso-fucking-lutely. They botched it from beginning to end. So they've given him better guys to work with? Yeah, probably. I mean, 2 matches with R-Truth. One would have been plenty. They fucked R-Truth's career completely. This all comes down to not Triple H. This all comes down to The Rock being of the most spoiled, fucking glad-handed, selfish mark piece of shit that the business has seen be in power in I can't even tell you how long. Because that's what it is. It was all about The Rock swinging dick and holding power over Hunter, holding power over the boys, and making people do things that they didn't want to do or need to do simply because he came in on a whim and said, hey, I got an idea for tonight.
Right.
He washed his hands of it once he found out that it was as over as a fucking fart in church, and then went away because he was embarrassed and didn't want to be a part of it because the Travis Scott thing sucked and they popped fucking Cody's eardrum. And then they ended up having heat with Travis Scott, who was training at Booker's school, and that didn't work out because apparently if he has to try, he doesn't want any part of it. And, then made The Rock look even stupider for having him involved in it. So what does he do? He just disappears. He into the wind, just like the crap he did to John Cena to make him turn heel, which was a stupid 3-month fucking bunch of bullshit where John shat on his own fucking career. So, we could, I think that the historians of the business will say this all really lays down onto the Rock's lap, because after that, John Cena and Triple H are pretty much trying to pick up the scraps and trying to figure this out with the little time they had left, turning them babyface immediately without working out of it, just saying, all right, forget it. Forget what you saw. We're starting back at scratch. We got 6 matches left. Let's do the best we can do out of this short period of time. And John wasn't extending his fucking goodbye, and I respect him for doing that. Because a lot of people go, all right, well, we'll stack on another 4 months so we can tell it the right way. No. I said end of the year. I meant end of the year, and it's going to be the end of the year. So props to him for sticking with that. And, could they have told a much better story? Absolutely. Should Gunther have been the guy? Debatable. Should Oba have been the guy? No. Just simply too green. But there were some other guys that they could have done it with. They could have done it with Braun Breaker, but he's, the thing is he's green too. But the thing is when Angle came in there and John Cena came down, John Cena didn't have 3 years in NXT. He was coming out of OVW, made his TV debut, and took it from there, and he learned on the job. And the whole thing is that these guys have been in NXT for so long, and I'm really sorry to keep rambling, but I'm just things are unfolding in my brain, so I'm just saying them as they're coming out of my brain. Like, if you've been in NXT for 3 years and you can't do fucking 8 minutes on TV, fuck you, you're fired. We've obviously wasted millions of dollars on training you and wasting our time with you. So if Obafemi couldn't have gotten 6 minutes or 8 minutes or 12 minutes out of John Cena, who everyone says is the greatest to ever do it, then what the fuck are we even doing here? It would have been awesome. I would have loved to have seen Oba get made tonight, that night. And is he going to be a big star? He's going to be a star. Is he going to be a big star? I don't know. They got to get him out of that stupid accent and gimmick first, and pretend like that never happened. Like when Kofi just decided all of a sudden, I'm no longer Jamaican. Kofi only became bigger once he did that. So they got to get him out of that stupid, tribal crap and just make him be who he is. He's done promos before. He was on NXT before they pushed him on TV. They didn't have the accent, but there are a bunch of guys. Dom would have been a perfect guy to do it because Dom's in the prime of his career. Or in the next 3 years, he's going to be entering the prime of his career. He would have been able to, feed off of the heat and become even bigger from that. There aren't a lot of guys that we can say that could do it. Drew's been around too long. It would have been cool, but, he's already 4 years probably past where you would have, thought about having him be in that spot. LA Knight, injury prone, 43 years old, too late in the career. So you can check down the list and say, okay, this guy now, this guy no. So Braun Breaker, perhaps, and Obafemi, perhaps. For me, it would have been Trick Williams. He would have been the guy.
That's fine too.
He should have been. He should have been the guy because he could really do it. He's the total package, but they just didn't pull the trigger on him for whatever the reason was. And here we are, in a post John Cena company, saying, okay, how do we, what did we get out of this? But at the end of the day, just to tie it up real quick, what Michael Cole did say the line of, tonight pro wrestling destroyed sports entertainment is the most important thing that happened to that entire match, because that's the Iggy of, the little light at the top of your head that goes, okay, that was the point that was being made tonight. Is we're turning the corner here. We're becoming something different. We're evolving or devolving, depending on your point of view. And we went from being this, and now we're going to be this. And that was the big takeaway from the entire match.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. That they're definitely trying to send a message. Trick Williams also would have been an incredible freaking pick. I just thought of Obafemi because of the reaction he got when he came out, and people clearly wanted him to beat Cody Rhodes. And I'm like, this guy. I just know it's not supposed to be Gunther. Like, give me somebody else, make someone else. And of course, there's not a lot, but there are people. And I think Triple H, even though I blame this completely on The Rock, I blame, and you guys know this if you've been watching this show, it's The Rock, The Rock's fault. It's The Rock's fault. But I think Triple H missed an opportunity to finally create a star in the Triple H era under Triple H. It has not happened, and I don't know when it will. All of these people are Vince leftovers, right? So from Vince, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, all of them. That's Vince McMahon. So Triple H has to make someone. I would think he would see that and be like, where's the opportunity for this? We have to make a new star, not somebody that's in their 40s. And let's face it, with Gunther, he's great, but he's not the face of the company. He will never be the face of the company. And he's going to be great with
he might not be the face of the company, but neither was Andre the Giant.
Yeah, but he's not Andre the Giant either.
No, he's not. But you have to. It took you're looking at Andre the Giant from the perspective of 1987 and not 1975.
Right.
You have to have monsters for the dragons to slay.
Absolutely. No.
He's not going to be worth slaying if he's always doing the job in big matches.
So for my next point, right? Like it'll make something for wrestling fans. But what's the moment here? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? So yeah, and the thing is, losing to Cena, I don't think would have changed his monster status in any way at this point. They made him tap out to Jey Uso. That put a big a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. They should have never pushed Jey Uso as a singles guy, and now they're probably regretting it because they've finally decided, okay, it was a failure, and put him back in fucking tag matches.
Yeah, no, they did. And
so that whole fucking year was a completely fucking ruined experiment where they had a guy like Gunther who could have been on a roll.
Yes.
Do a fucking job to help get this guy over, and it did nothing in the long run because Jay couldn't handle the position.
Totally agreed. Hey, Bells, you want me to defer to Professor? He wants to get in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Prof.
No, I'm just going to be quick. It only take me 30 seconds to say this. But Billy Ray, I want to say this because while I agree with certain points that you're making, but the one thing that I can retort back, and this is just my humble opinion, is that the IWC and YWC, I love the word that Daniel Bryan said years ago, fickled. You said a lot of stuff about who they're going to make. Who is this person? Who's the next person? Gunther shouldn't have been the person, right? You said this. But the problem with the community itself is they're so fickle that they want somebody, then they get it maybe, and then they don't want it anymore. They want to move on to the new person, right? I heard a lot during this John Cena tournament. Well, what about Carmelo Hayes? You should have just ran through the tournament, he had a great win in the first round against Bronson Reed, but they did a storyline because of the War Game stuff. But that's just the point I'm trying to make is like, if we try to elevate somebody, then the fans might just say, that's it. I mean, we've seen that we're seeing that with Jey Uso. Everybody is yeeting. The kids are still yeeting. But then the older people, oh yeah, we're done. We're done yeeting. We moved on. Jay's back in the tag team division in the Uso brothers. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like the IWC is so fickle that they change. It's only week to week. They're not thinking. They swear they want long-term storytelling. No, you don't. You just want in the moment what you want.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. There you go, Bells.
Take
it away. Take it away, Bells. I'm done.
I've got several things. Since you mentioned Jey Uso, I'll start there. Did everyone see the drunk Jey Uso? With the what's her name with the line of the year where she's like, "Why don't you just hit us with the yeet and be on your way?" Is like my God, I might get that tattooed on me. That is like the fucking greatest thing ever uttered. Like that should have been said to Jey Uso
over and over again over the course of the last year. Instead, they're giving him fucking world title runs and having him tap out Gunther at WrestleMania and things like that. By the way, why are people tapping out the sleeper holds? Period.
Right. Thank you.
That doesn't make any sense. But getting back to Struz's point before about the smile and the cathartic, almost euphoric release or whatever it is, Matt Hardy had a very similar take on it that I happen to see floating around on X there. But yeah, I mean, I think this Gunther thing ultimately, like I hinted at before, I think this is ultimately going to be long-term good for him. I don't think this heat is going to die down anytime soon. I haven't seen heat quite this hot in a while. Like, he literally needed to be escorted to his bus because a bunch of fucking marks were like chasing him out of the fucking building. So that's kind of cool to see, like the fact that we can even achieve that level of heat at this point, in given all of the destruction of kayfabe and Unreal and all that sort of stuff that's going on. But hey, even if this heat does die down, guess what's going to happen next? Gunther's going to retire AJ Styles, and when that's done, he's going to retire Brock Lesnar. And when that's done, he's going to retire CM Punk. And when that's done, he's going to retire Roman Reigns. And then he's eventually going to get to the final boss and officially be the legend killer. And he's going to retire Randy Orton. And that's how this is going to go over the next couple of years for Gunther. So everyone who's very upset about this, I'm sorry to tell you, this is going to happen again, and it's going to be a pattern. And you heard it here first.
Well, if it happens with AJ Styles, it's perfectly fine. Nobody's going to give a shit about that. You know, what I'm saying here is, and they can make him the new legend killer. What the fuck is that going to accomplish?
Well, now you've got to kind of Striz, I believe, was kind of hinting at this before. Like, now you not only have like a monster heel that you can make baby faces off of, but you almost have like a heel that transcends the title in a certain way, like an Undertaker and Andre, like a guy he's a legend killer. He's not only killing the legends, he's killing the guys out there killing the legends. That's how much of a monster this man is. And I think I think that's what they're after here. And they've got a lot of baby faces to make in the upcoming years. I wish they hadn't wasted some of these, these defeats on Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, but this is their way of trying to like build him back up. And I think ultimately it will be successful.
Let's see if they can maintain, right? Something like that. But ultimately, my whole deal is this is John Cena. AJ Styles is not John Cena. And anybody else that you named is not.
But you stack them all up. Goldberg,
that's fine, but
Cena,
that's good.
Styles,
That's good for wrestling fans. With John Cena, you had the potential to create a new star, and this is what they did not do.
McAfee, sorry,
and that's my issue. That's my biggest issue with this. You know, that they just completely blew it. So people want to continue to talk. Oh yeah, they're gonna have a storylines with Gunther. He's gonna retire legends with Gunther. And that's going to lead to a what rating on Raw a year from now?
If Carmelo Hayes beats Gunther at WrestleMania in 2 years and becomes a megastar off of it, this is all worth it. This all stems from that. But like to Prof's point over there, you can't have that instant gratification. It wasn't like Trick Williams was beating John Cena and then he was going to go on to beat CM Punk at the next PLE and become the world champion. Like, that was never going to work. Like that's not how this was ever going to play out. You ultimately I think we need to see how this progresses. And I think like Gunther coming in last night and just like people basically trying to throw shit at him, they were so fucking pissed off at him, is ultimately a good sign. I think like if you were going to have a heel beat Cena, this is the result you wanted. So hopefully they can parlay it.
Colin, what's up, buddy?
So you want to see a brand new star be made off of this match, Billy Ray Valentine. Let's just break down the definition of what is a star. What's a star? A star is like a sun, right? A sun is heat and energy. What are you going to get now with Gunther? Gunther's already doing the hand in the face for the pop. He's got the Cena tap shirt. He's going to always be able to kind of call back to creating these heat moments. And like Bello said, when since the 70s have we seen people chasing people out of buildings because they thought this shit was real and they were so upset about a finish that they had to escort him to his bus to get him there safely? I think like we have to kind of see where this goes. If they're going to allow people to throw stuff in the rings again, is this going to be something similar to what we saw back in the Attitude Era when they're going to let people just, if you don't like it, just sit there and get rained on with drinks and trash and whatever people have in the audience that they can throw. So I do think that we are going to see Gunther, as I said at the beginning of the show, and as Bello reiterated, he's going to go through and he's going to kill legends. And I still think that if he doesn't face like a Carmelo Hayes or something like that, you get a guy like Obafemi and him in the WrestleMania a few years down the road when you have these two, not only just massive motherfucking dudes, but dudes that probably the IWC and everybody else will be behind because they've been pulling for Obafemi or something new to come through and be a new star. And we also have to, I wanted to make a point that Striz did about blaming The Rock. You did forget that The Rock stopped by NXT, dropped his kids off at the pool, and he left a floater, which is now the GM of NXT. So he did just screw up everywhere. Just everywhere.
Is that a black joke?
Ow.
Wow.
No, it's a poop joke. It's a poop joke.
It is a poop joke.
It's a poop joke.
She is doo-doo, in fairness.
But
she is rotten.
I just think, and I get the whole. I mean, I personally, I just think it's mental gymnastics. The whole, oh well, this guy beat this guy, so this guy's gonna get the rub. He'll get a rub, right? If they do it right, first off, right? They have to build Gunther to a point, unless he taps out to somebody else, right? Or
that's the thing is they got to keep Gunther strong forever at this point, or at least for the next 2-3 years.
Right, I agree.
No more small jobs.
Right.
Yeah, no more tapping out to Jey Uso.
In order for that transfer of whatever to work, but you only get one chance to beat. Well, that's it. To retire John Cena, to be the guy that beat John Cena. I'm just saying. I would have went in a completely different direction. Gunther, while he may get you a storyline for wrestling fans, and something for wrestling fans to get, to get behind for a year or 2 or 3, maybe. You're not capitalizing off the biggest star of this generation the way you should have in order to propel someone to the next level, or at least attempt to. Gunther isn't that guy. So this is a failure on behalf of the WWE brass to take advantage of a situation. And it's also a failure in recognizing who can possibly get you to the next level. Because Gunther, as good as he is not that guy. We can talk about the Gunther, taking out legends forever.
Billy Ray, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say this. For the Saturday night's main event, you're focusing primarily on what happened with John Cena and Gunther, and I'm hearing everything you're saying, but you are kind of like brushing off what John Cena also wanted. He wanted to have showcased Obafemi. He wanted to have showcased Sol Ruka. He wanted to have showcased Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Right. He wanted those people to showcase their talents on that platform, on Peacock. That's what he wanted too. The time-honored tradition is not only wins and losses. The time-honored tradition is also leave the business in a better space than what he, inherited himself. So that's what he wanted to do too. We can't forget that.
So
there's potential.
So to that argument, and then we're getting out of here. To that argument, what are people talking about now? Is anybody talking about any of those matches? No. They're talking about John Cena tapping out. So if you want to make an argument that he wanted to highlight these people, they should have gone in another direction. Because at the end of the day, even though I know this is not what John Cena meant, it's all about John Cena tapping out to Gunther. Nobody's talking about anything else.
Did anybody notice that, even within a couple days before Saturday night's main event, they said that they were going to open with the Cena match, and then they ended up closing with it?
Yes. I told my son, and I'm going to throw it right back to you, Striz. I told my son, I'm like, we have to watch immediately because Cena's going to open, and then it's going to be about everybody else.
Picking up dinner, racing home because I didn't want to miss it. And I think the reason they ended up changing it was because they came up with the terrible finish of Oba getting, the DQ from Drew, because I think they maybe originally had planned for Oba to go over in some regard, in some fashion, and then changed it, because then at that point they would have ended with this spectacular, oh my God, who is this Obafemi? And he just beat our world champion, blah, blah, blah. But then it could be maybe someone was like, you can't have Cena and Cody both lose on the same show. Somebody must have gotten in somebody's ear.
Yeah.
But that was the whole point of the thing, like you were saying, is to, showcase these young talents, of which they should have. In which, by the way, nobody has mentioned that all 4 of the talents are people of color. And yes, even Sol Ruka, because she's half black. But nobody has actually even mentioned that when they usually, you'd point something out like that, because it's a pretty spectacular thing to say, hey, the new cornerstone of WWE is this rather than that, which is what had been for the last 40 years. But I think that it was a very strange move to keep saying specifically they're going to be opening with the Cena match and then change it last minute.
Yeah, man, that's a really good point. Well, all good points.
I saw him on, he was on McAfee and addressed that, I guess, like just before, like maybe the day before the show, I think it was Friday. And they asked him about that, and he was just like, "No, we're going out last." Like immediately, just like laughed the whole thing off. And I was like, "That's hilarious!" Like, because I had seen all the same reports, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's really weird."
And it could have been wrestling tees to make sure that you were there to watch. Hey, we're gonna put his match on first, so you're like, "Oh, I gotta watch because he's gonna be the first match."
That could have been, but then it also like started ringing off all these like alarm bells in my head, and I was just like, "What if they're just pulling? What if they are doing some sort of bullshit? Like they're gonna have him come out, he's gonna beat Gunther like in like fucking 10 minutes and just go like Super Cena on him, and then all of a sudden,
runs a gauntlet,
or some fucking motherfucker, The Miz shows up, or fucking Kevin Owens is back, or some crazy shit happens, and
or The Rock comes and tries to save a little face and put him over too.
I almost think like that would have been expected if you have them go on first, or maybe that's another reason too.
All right, well, great episode, guys. Prof, thank you for taking the time to come on and talking to us, man. Always appreciate your perspective. Let's go around the horn. Hey, Bells, I'll catch your punk ass down the road. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on the X at the Andrew Bello. That's TH to the E, A N to the D, REWBELLO. And I'll be breaking down this NXT botch finish with Blake Monroe and Tia Hale, probably in extreme detail. I'm going to get all Zapruder film on this thing. I am fascinated by this event in wrestling history. Like, just to have a televised wrestling match where a finish didn't go as planned and resulted in a title change is going to be a really fun thing to watch how this all fucking plays out moving forward. This is some fucking shindy, carny shit that is only available in this very art form that is just it's awful, it's wonderful. Again, fascinated, inordinately fascinated with this event. So I'm curious to see how HBK and then the crew down there in NXT handle all this. I personally think it's just a good excuse for them to take Blake Monroe up to the main roster, but I guess we'll see how that all goes. Find me on the X doing that analysis.
Fantastic. And we can do it on air too. Next week, or you're welcome to the Professor's Perspective Awards to do it also.
This is going to get me back in NXT after years of being away. This event has shaped my wrestling fandom.
Man, to that point, man, Professor and I have been friends for over 20 years. And he brought back the fact that I quit watching professional wrestling when John Cena tapped out Shawn Michaels. I literally stopped watching for years.
Wow.
One of our mutual friends.
And you should be happy, Billy Ray, that he tapped out in his last match for you.
One of our mutual friends dragged me to an ROH show. And I saw Roderick Strong versus Davey Richards. And I was back in after that. So that's what did it to me. But I stopped watching for a couple of years because of that. I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. I couldn't stand John Cena. Anyway, Colin Wysong, all facts. Tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on the X at Colin Wysong. I do find it funny that Rikishi's kid is now back in the comedy spot that Rikishi held with Scotty 2 Hotty and those guys all those years ago. That's great to see that after this failed experiment that was Jey Uso, which will still get Yeet spots. I mean, that'll be fun, but I don't know. We'll see where this will take us. I'm excited for the future that is professional wrestling, and I can't wait to hear what Bello has to say about that botched finish, because I watched that, and I'm glad that they counted the 3 and they fucking went with it.
I got to go back and watch it now. Professor, tell the people where they can find you, buddy.
Actually, I'll change it around. You can find me on the YouTube. Do you have a symbol for that? Okay, I'm just saying. Just type in. Well, Thank you, Bells. You can just type in YouTube / Pro Wrestling Reflection. I'm bringing that channel up to speed. I got 128 subscribers, the little engine that could. The most nostalgic podcast out there with myself and the Tommy Wonder. And we just did an episode, Greatest Heel Turns, Big Daddy Cool Diesel from the 1995 Survivor Series. So just I need some more subscribers, man. I'm not buying bots. So, I'm doing it the right way.
Let's do it. I love it. Feel free to put this up there if you want to, Prof. Good to see you, buddy. And we'll get to tell them about the Professor's Perspective Awards. We have to pick a date, but tell them about it.
Well, at the end of the year, I do the most magnanimous, most glorious wrestling award show ever. The tabulations are almost finalized. I might have to wait till World's End so I can just, pick off, the real winners. Maybe Dom might have won an award or two, but we shall see. That's all it is. The Professor's Perspective 2025 Awards is coming.
I think for the Career Renaissance Award, it should be El Grande Americano. I mean, he was huge in the 50s and the 40s. I remember when I saw him beat the fuck out of El Santo. It was fantastic. And now he's doing it again. So I think if there's ever an argument for that, it should be El Grande Americano. Striz,
don't forget, he sold the most 8-tracks ever
in
the 70s.
Incredible, that guy. What a resurgence he's having, the greatest of all time. Striz, what's up, sir? You saw El Grande Americano wrestle back in the day in Arena Mexico. You were there. Tell the people what's up.
This is the first time I ever went to Mexico and did a tour of Guadalajara, and he was the main event. So that was back in 1993, and he was a great guy then. He's a great guy now. In fact, I told him when I first met him, my grandfather was my grandfather's favorite wrestler since he was a little boy, and he was very humble and so very gracious. And he found out I was trained by Killer Kowalski, and he, used to tell me stories about how Walter would come down to Mexico and beat the shit out of him, but still put him over at the end of the day. So we had a lot in common, and he was a great guy, and he took us out to eat and always picked up the bill because he was a class act, and what a great dude. And I'm glad he's still having a hell of a run. So,
fantastic.
Props to him. And you can find me on the X at StranglerSteve _, and my Twitter's been kind of quiet. But I'll fire it back up. I've just been uninterested by Twitter, and it's just such a cesspool. But I guess it is what you make it. So I'll try to maybe put some light on there and make people feel good when they look at it and shit. But
Striz, in 2026, maybe we bring back shout-outs.
Hey, maybe we'll have to see.
God, no.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Bells doesn't like that.
I hate that idea. Also, a little known fact: El Grande Americano took Striz to his first donkey show.
True, in Puerto Rico. It was pretty good.
All right. Good. Tell him something, Striz. We're getting out of here.
Yo, we like big kitties.
7 days a week. That wet ass pussy got my pull-out game weak. Ooh, yeah. I'm fucking with that wet ass. Swimming in it, baby. I'ma bring up